Today is Wednesday, December 13th. What to know about a new phase in the Gaza war. Israeli troops are starting to move underground. And a last-ditch plea from Ukraine's president to U.S. lawmakers that didn't seem to win everyone over. Also, new rules that could fundamentally change how millions of Americans buy their cars. And a new safety device that could soon be required for the cars themselves. Plus, details about a so-called virtual border wall in the works, how to watch what's expected to be an impressive meteor shower tonight, and why some teachers are adding small talk to their curriculums. Those stories and even more news to know in today's episode. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Well, more than 2 years into his war with Russia, Ukraine's president faced another difficult mission this week. He spoke with a divided U.S. Congress about more funding to fight the war with Russia. President Zelensky told American lawmakers his country will never give up in its fight against invading Russian forces. But he warned that without more assistance, the war will turn far more brutal. President Biden backed that up, saying blocking more aid for Ukraine would only play into Russia's hands, calling it a Christmas gift for Russian President Putin. And some of his fellow Democrats agreed, adding that if Ukraine falls, Russia could set its sights on more countries, triggering another world war. All that said, Congress is still deadlocked. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson says no more aid for Ukraine unless Democrats agree to tougher immigration policies for America's southern border. Some Republicans say they also didn't like that Zelensky did not detail Ukraine's battle plan for the next year, since they don't want to support a forever war. Already, Congress has allocated more than $111 billion for Ukraine to defend itself, and President Biden is now requesting $60 billion more. The Biden administration actually declassified new intelligence this week, too, to show how the aid given thus far has been helping. It says Russia has lost nearly 90% of the forces and more than 60% of the tanks it had at the start of the invasion. Even bigger losses than what's been documented on the Ukrainian side, even though it's all happening in their country with a much smaller military. So the U.S. and Ukraine say they still think this is a war that can be won with support. American lawmakers are negotiating an aid package now. Israel is deploying a new tactic in Gaza meant to deal a significant blow to the Hamas militant group. The Israeli military has reportedly started pumping seawater from the Mediterranean into Hamas's vast complex of tunnels in Gaza. The move is meant to destroy the underground infrastructure that's helped Hamas hide and plot. The tunnel system is also thought to be where the group stores rockets and munitions. But even some people on Israel's side have raised concerns, mostly because some of the hostages who were taken from Israel on October 7th could still be in the tunnels. Plus, they worry about long-term environmental impacts or any other ramifications for civilians in Gaza. So Israel is limiting the flooding to only a few areas for now to see how it goes. The Israeli military is apparently also considering more airstrikes, liquid explosives, or underground robots or drones. But it's also facing international pressure to end the war. Just yesterday, the UN General Assembly overwhelmingly voted for an immediate ceasefire. About 3/4 of members supported it. The vote is non-binding, since the U.S. vetoed another resolution in the Security Council. But even through all of America's support, President Biden is warning Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that time is limited. The Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry says 18,000 Palestinians have died since the start of the war, and even those who have survived are facing a humanitarian crisis. Though more help should be coming. For the first time since the October 7th attack, Israel started using a border crossing to send trucks of aid into Gaza. And Israel says by opening it up, more than twice as much aid will be able to enter. The reopening was actually one of America's key demands ahead of a visit this week by one Biden administration official. He's expected to arrive tomorrow to talk with the Israeli cabinet about the future of the war. Stay tuned. Artificial intelligence is now helping to fill the gaps on the U.S.-Mexico border. The U.S. has deployed what news outlets like Axios call a virtual border wall. About 300 different types of surveillance towers have been set up from the California coast to the tip of Texas. And more are coming. They're autonomous, with 360-degree radars and sensors that can scan for miles. They're also outfitted with an AI software that can distinguish people from desert animals. Then, if human activity is detected, Border Patrol agents can respond to the right spot. And towers can be programmed to block off spots not to monitor, like nearby homes on private ranges. The surveillance has bipartisan support in Congress, And Customs and Border Protection officials say the tech is a great asset to help agents do their jobs. Still, digital watchdogs have some concerns. They've raised questions about how often the towers are looking at people who are just living their lives and not breaking any laws. Either way, even more towers are in the works. All right, we have more news for you still coming up. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. I am in a busy season of life right now, so even though exercise and moving my body always makes me feel so much better, it's not always easy to stay consistent. And that's why I'm really glad I have Copilot, keeping me on track so I can stay healthy both physically and mentally. This is a service that connects you with an affordable, real-life personal trainer. My trainer is named Megan. She's fantastic. And because of my needs right now, she made my plan really convenient. Short but effective workouts and stretches that I can do from anywhere. But your trainer will come up with the best plan for your lifestyle. I can't believe I get a personalized plan and accountability without the hefty price of traditional in-person personal training. I'd love for you to follow my lead and get fit and feel fabulous. Give Copilot a try to find out why it was listed by Forbes as the top-rated personal trainer app of 2023. Head to go.mycopilot.com/newsworthy to get a 14-day free trial and 20% off your first month of personalized fitness with your own personal trainer if you sign up before February 1st, 2024. That's go.mycopilot.com/newsworthy to get a free 14 days trial and 20% off your first month. Sign up for the new year and let Copilot help you reach your fitness goals. Okay, now back to the news. One of the best meteor showers of the year is expected to peak tonight. And if conditions are clear, skywatchers could end up seeing about 120 shooting stars an hour. Tonight, the show is expected to be especially good since NASA says there won't be much moonlight interfering. To get the best view, NASA suggests sitting back or lying down with your feet facing south and allow your eyes about 30 minutes to adjust to the dark sky. Then meteors will start to show up at around 9 or 10 p.m. local time. Or if you're really a night owl, the most impressive part of the show is expected to be between midnight and 2 a.m. Pretty soon, all new vehicles in the U.S. could be equipped with devices to keep someone from driving under the influence. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announced this week it's taken the first official step to put a new federal standard in place. But the idea has actually been around before now. The NHTSA, together with a group of 16 automakers, has been researching technology that automatically tests a driver's breath for alcohol and keeps a vehicle from moving if the driver is impaired. The driver would not have to blow into a tube either. Another option is using cameras to monitor eye movements to detect whether drivers are intoxicated. And the government is still asking more partners, academics, and researchers to bring their best ideas to the table. The federal government says once new tech is in place, it could prevent more than 10,000 road deaths a year. The plan is to make it a new standard by next year as long as the tech works flawlessly. Even then, though, the NHTSA will give automakers at least 3 years to implement it. Another part of the car buying experience is now set to change even sooner. This week, the FTC finalized a rule to stop auto dealers from using hidden fees or bait-and-switch price tactics. Really, the rule just bans any kind of misrepresentation about the price of a car. Dealers will have to give customers upfront pricing, even with exact monthly costs. They'll have to get consent before charging for any extras, and they won't be allowed to charge fees for add-ons that are useless to the buyer. So think a service contract for oil changes for an electric vehicle. The agency says this rule could save Americans more than $3.4 billion a year. But the National Automobile Dealers Association is criticizing it. Its president calls it heavy-handed bureaucratic overreach that will only lengthen and complicate the sales process. For now, at least, it's set to take effect in summer of 2024. Apple is rolling out a new security mode meant to make it harder for thieves who steal iPhones to do the most damage. It started becoming available to beta testers yesterday in response to an increase in thefts nationwide. So as the Wall Street Journal reports, criminals in New York, Chicago, New Orleans, Minneapolis, and elsewhere have watched iPhone users type in their passcodes, then stolen their iPhones. And with that, the losses were far greater than just the phones themselves. The Journal spoke with hundreds of people who say thieves were able to totally take over their accounts, access saved passwords, steal money, and lock them out of their iCloud stored photos and videos. So now a new feature called Stolen Device Protection is meant to add a second layer of security. If the phone is not at a location associated with its owner, like their home or office, The feature will require a Face ID on top of the passcode for people to be able to make any big changes in settings, like changing the Apple ID password or viewing stored passwords. Still, users will have to actually turn it on for it to work. And any app that is not protected by its own password or PIN could still be vulnerable. So experts suggest hiding your phone anytime you have to enter that passcode in public. And to be extra safe, add pins to any cash and crypto apps. Then Apple is reportedly planning to include stolen device protection for everyone in the next software update. It's official now. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour has become the highest-grossing tour of all time. The Guinness Book of World Records made the announcement yesterday, saying Swift's tour has surpassed $1 billion in revenue in just 9 months. And she still has a lot of shows left. If you want to see what all the hype is about or relive your concert experience, you can from home. As of today, the Eras Tour movie is now available to rent on any video streaming platform like Prime Video, Apple TV, and more. Well, that's it for the main news today. So now it's time for Work Wednesday, when we break down one interesting career or work-related news story every Wednesday. But first, a break for our sponsor. If you've ever done stretching or mobility work, then you probably already know how helpful it can be to your body. Well, the Castle Flex takes it to a whole other level. You may ask, why not just use a typical cheap rubber band or rope? Well, they not only can hurt your hand or snap your skin, but also they may not pull your toes down and back just right, the way a stretch therapist does, for a more effective stretch up the entire leg. I've now learned the Castle Flex is a patented device that pulls your toes into a complete dorsiflexion, allowing your entire leg to get stretched at the exact same time instead of just your calf or just your hamstring. And I can tell you from using it, I can feel the difference. It's an incredible stretch that makes my body, especially my back, feel a lot better. And I'm happy to say you can now even use funds from your HSA or FSA accounts that might be use it or lose it by the end of the year. So learn more at Castle Flex, flex with 2 X's, castleflex.com, and be sure to use our code NEWS12 for 10% off. Again, follow the link in our episode notes or use the code NEWS12, NEWS12 to get 10% off. Okay, now back to Work Wednesday. Making small talk, chit-chatting, and other forms of conversation have been part of the American lexicon for centuries. But now, some young adults are actually needing to take lessons in these kinds of soft skills. The Wall Street Journal presented some theories about why small talk is starting to become a struggle, from smartphone addiction to COVID cocooning, and even helicopter parenting. But no matter the cause, it could impact students' job prospects. In 2022, the National Association of Colleges and Employers released surveys showing nearly 80% of students rated their communication as very or extremely proficient. Only about half of employers agreed, though. Now, some college professors have set out to teach the importance of small talk, including eye contact and active listening, to help students speak appropriately in business settings and launch their careers. For example, a professor at Rollins College in Florida started a job market boot camp to help students practice professional networking. And there was a lecturer at Caltech who created Dining with Teach, holding mock business lunches at a campus restaurant. Well, thank you so much for joining us as part of your daily routine. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.